All right, everyone. So today I wanted to compare two separate consoles that are similar but different in the same way. So obviously I'm going to be comparing the Analogue Pocket. What I wanted to compare it to this time is the Game Boy Advance Boxy Pixel. Not the SP Unhinged, but the Game Boy Advance edition. So the one I have will be, I'll show in a second, is one that looks very similar to the one that's right there with the $69. Now this is just for the shell. Obviously the Boxy Pixel might be for a different audience, while the Analog might be for people who just want to say, hey, here it is, this is what I have, I don't need to do anything extra to it, I'm ready to go. While the Boxy Pixel might be for people who are looking for taking maybe their original Game Boy Advance and upgrading it essentially. So here's essentially everything that you will have. So for example, I had this one here with the aluminum shell, the silver aluminum shell. I had the IPS Funny Play version 2 LCD screen that came with the flex cable. I also did buy the metal Game Boy Advance cartridge as well, so I'll show that too. Now you can have a laser etch service for an extra fee, which $18 is a pretty good price considering what you get. And let's see, you can get the buttons, all the buttons, obviously the screen. There are a lot of things that come into making this what it is. As you can tell, there's a lot of things that go into it. You can just put Super Famicom, which is pretty cool. So you can tell you have the audio amplifier to make it a little louder. You have the USB-C, which is very good. So this attached with this battery here gives you 2,000 milliamps, which is very good. So this is how it looks. Let's click on one, that way you can see maybe what it looks like. You get them in different colors. So it's very customizable. As with the Analog, you pretty much, you get two colors and that's it. Nothing else. So it looks like the blue is the most popular at the moment. It's out of stock. But there was a time when this was definitely out of stock. An Analog, as you've seen in many videos, some of my prior videos, this is currently set for pre-order, set for out till 2023. So you're going to be waiting a while if you want to get this on a pre-order. So it's up to you what you want to do. A while back, I was waiting for the Analogue Pocket. I ended up saying, you know what, I'm gonna do this project. It was a cool little project. It was fun. And there are some drawbacks to it, which I will discuss in a second. So, but here you go. These are the two items I'm going to compare. So let's get into the rest of the video. But first, please like and subscribe to the channel. This really does help me a lot. It shows me what you guys like, what you guys don't like. So thank you very much, and let's get into the video. Okay, everyone. So here we have the Boxy Pixel Game Boy Advance Micro. Right here, we have obviously the Analog right here. So what I'm going to do is show you some of the drawbacks of each of these devices and some of the parts where they are a little bit stronger at. So first off, let me show you the Boxy Pixel a little closer. Now, this is a very premium product here. You can tell this is aluminum. So it's very strong. Boxy Pixel recently came out with a non-plastic left and right buttons on top here. So I might switch out mine and buy that. These are aluminum as well. I went with an all black with the silver aluminum here. And here's his logo right here, as you can tell. Now, the Funny Play version 2 screen is absolutely gorgeous. And it really pops. It's Funny Play. And if you've ever seen any of the Funny Play screens, and you know that it plays really well. Now here is one of Boxy Pixel's cartridges. See? Now the problem with these cartridges, they do get scratched up pretty easily. So you got to be careful with this. You can tell mine is already scratched. Now, if you look at this, I just put the sticker on here. This is Super Mario Advance. I just drew in the sticker just to have something there. But it is a beautiful fit. Looks absolutely gorgeous. Now let's turn it on. We can lower the brightness. It's Funny Play, so let's lower it that way the camera picks it up. See, now you'll still have some of the standard issues you would have with the Game Boy Advance, since this is an actual Game Boy Advance inside. Sometimes you gotta take it out, put it back in. I have to clean up alcohol later today if it continues to give me problems. This happens occasionally with the metal cartridges. All right, here we are. So, tell, this is a Game Boy Advance, but this is the Funny Play display. It looks beautiful. And you know what? Now let's see, this is right here. Now, I got the EverDrive here. Now let's see if I can find the same game on the EverDrive, where you can see how they look side by side. Now, obviously, the biggest thing you're going to have with the Analogue is that you're going to have the Analogue operating system. This is straight Game Boy Advance. Obviously, you can play your Game Boy Color games, regular Game Boy games as well, but that's it. So the adapters that you have for here, I don't know if it'll work on that one. So this is where you'll have drawbacks. I have pluses too. So let's load this up here. Let me see if we can find it real quick. So this will be Super Mario. Go to S. All right, here we are. This one, the one that I dumped. Here we go. Now, immediately, the speakers on this are going to be a lot better because there's two. You can hear it overshadows it. The screen looks very good on this too. So, you know what? Let's lower this where we have one thing running at once. Now let's raise the brightness to both of these. So it gets really bright. Funny Play gets really bright. Let's check out this one. They both get really bright. Now, personally, it's kind of hard to tell on the channel here. Personally, I feel like the Analogue has a better screen with the brightness. The Funny Play kind of feels like it's kind of washed a little bit, while this one still maintains a lot of its color. So that's just my personal opinion. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be using this on full brightness the entire time, because that's just how you lose battery really fast. And you can charge both of these the same way, USB-C, and you got the headphone jack here, same setup as the original Game Boy Advance, except you won't have the battery. That is gone. You have the battery inside. If you ever needed to replace it, you unscrew it, but you wouldn't have to. It's not something you want to replace, since you would have to solder it back in. Now, let's go over some of the other stuff. At the moment, today I'm filming this, January 10th, there's still issues with the EverDrive Plus. So this will run everything. Boxy Pixel will run everything the original Game Boy Advance is able to run. Keep that in mind. Now, one of the other issues I ran into, and this is an issue with both of them, the wireless adapter. Okay, this is the original one, the prongs. This might be something with the version 1 of the Boxy Pixels, but they do not fit. It's not lined up correctly. Even if I pull it back, it's just not lined up correctly. So I had to make a quick modification, remove the knobs, and then that's it. Now, this same method does work for the Analogue Pocket. I've shown it in a prior video for trading Pokemon between, I think, 2 emeralds, I believe, and that does work. So just keep that in mind as well. You would have to remove the knobs, but this might have changed with one of the newer versions. So now let me just show you something that's really, honestly, is a game changer. So let's go over, let's get the games out of here. This is where the Analogue kind of takes it, in my opinion. It's gonna be how it interacts with Game Boy games. Let's I'm putting in the Easy Flash on this one. And I'm just gonna put in regular, this is Japanese Pokemon Gold. So immediately the screen size is much different. So if we go here, let's just go to Game Boy. I'm using Pokemon. Let's go to Pokemon Gold. Easy Flash needs to load a little bit. There we go. Now, immediately you're going to see the difference. So, this is going to be on this right here. So, how it's going to look. It'll be a much smaller square. You can tell here, the Analogue on the other hand, this is playing at a much bigger scale. That's what's one of the big things about the Analogue is Game Boy and Game Boy Color play. These games really look good on the Analogue Pocket. Like, really look good. Just playing this at a much bigger aspect ratio does make a bigger difference, in my opinion, in how everything else looks. Everything is much bigger. This is where the Analogue Pocket obviously is going to take it, as well as with the multiple adapters that are being released for this device. There is a lot of adapters coming out, and there are a lot of different games systems you can play on this. But that being said, keep this in mind. The Boxy Pixel is also set for a different kind of collector. This is set for somebody who likes doing these kinds of modifications. So bearing that in mind, I had fun doing this, and a lot of people might want to do something like this as well. They'll have many different projects you can take up, especially if you want to bring your old Game Boy Advance back to life. But on the other hand, this is readily available while the Analogue is pushed out till 2023. So that is something to consider as well. Now, there are also some compatibility issues with the Analogue that do not work. For example, I don't know how many people have this. This is the Game Boy Advance movie player. This will not work on the Analogue Pocket. I'm not surprised. This is a very small item, a very niche item that not many people might even know about. I liked this when I was younger, taking the train. This came in handy. This allowed me to do many different things, like watch a movie, which I could not do on, back then I was using a Nintendo DS. And I made a whole separate video on this specifically. So let's just show, here, let's do this one real quick. This, I believe, yep, here, this was Supernatural. So I just recently converted this to play here. So it's playing this on pretty much full screen. Now you could have done this with just about any movie that you had. You just have to convert it to the proper format. Now granted, this is not the best way to watch these things, but hey, back then you didn't have much options. But this doesn't work on the Analogue. Here's another one that I've seen have issues with. This one, the sensor seems to be getting blocked. Right here is a sensor. It gets blocked by the Analogue. And it just doesn't work right on the Analogue, but it works just fine on here. There's something else to keep in mind. Now that being said, these are great. They are both great items to have. Now, you will still have some standard issues that you had with the original Game Boy that you have to consider. Occasionally, I have to clean this out just to get the select button to work correctly. There might get dust particles stuck in between there. Dust particles might get stuck underneath the glass. These things do happen, especially when you're modding your old console. You gotta remember to thoroughly clean these things out, since that will affect some of the button input. That being said, like I mentioned before, the Analogue can easily be for a person who just wants to grab it and go, and that's it. You don't have to play around with anything else. If you want to play around with stuff, you could just put stuff in GB Studios. And there you go. You got homebrews, you got Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games, etc. So there are things you could do. But if you just want an item that is ready to go, I think the Boxy Pixel is the way to go if you're willing to wait. Or you know what, if you want to get both, get both. It's something you can obviously have both of them. Have one while you wait. Depends on everyone's situation. But also, thank you everyone for watching. This is the video. I hope everybody likes it. Please leave a like. Your subscribing is helping me a lot. It's giving me encouragement. So thank you everyone. If I hear any new news, I will definitely let everyone know. Thank you and have a good one.